All right. Welcome to the Splitting Hairs podcast. We got a special edition here today. I'm joined by alumni Thomas Stacker. What's up, man? How you doing?
Man, not much. I'm chilling, man.
Nice. Thanks for joining the pod, man. I know this is an interesting week for a lot of people, a lot of players and a lot of families, parents, personnel, people from the state of South Dakota getting hyped for this showdown. I never got a chance to take part in it, but are you pretty hyped for it?
Oh man, I'm so excited. Like I've been texting my boys all week. Like, man, y'all gotta take it to them, bro. Like,
I love it. I
yeah.
love
So
it. Yeah, and I definitely want to get into it first. Just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, Cottonwood Coffee of Brookings, South Dakota, and Drake's Place of Bowdle, South Dakota. Cottonwood's obviously got the hookup with your espresso, your caffeine fix, your food at the bistro off 6th. And then obviously they got the coffee house on Main for all your needs. And then, great place to go get some work done, go study for all the studying that takes place. Hopefully you already got it in for this week because it's a big rivalry week in state. And with that, man, just gonna open it up. Just what were your thoughts going into playing USD historically? What was that like for you? And
I believe it really kind of changed over the years. Like when I was younger, it was like, all right, like, this little bro, we gotta like treat him that way, like all that. And after losing to him, you feel kind of like, at least personally, like I felt like, dang, like I let a lot of dudes down. Like this all this time we spent like literally just like beating the crap out of them. And like it was, like my senior year that like we dropped the ball. You know what I mean? And like
yeah,
that kind of sucks, right? Like, so going into that in 2019 when we lost, I mean, and then like going into my senior year, it was just kind of like, okay, like, they ducked us last year in the COVID year. Like they didn't want none of that smoke. It's like, all right, like we're coming back, like about to, kick the crap out of these guys. And, you got guys out and like you don't want to make excuses because I feel like we fully
yeah,
had the game in hand. And just to lose like that is just like so annoying, I think is like the best way to put it. Cause I mean, you lose one game and guys are out here with putting their glasses on and, acting like they won the Super Bowl, stand out on the field for like an hour after the game. Like,
yeah,
just to lose a first round playoff game. I'm like, all right, guys, like, so it shows how much it really means to those dudes. I
yeah,
mean, I gotta respect that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I'm not knocking them for like caring about beating the team that's better than them. If
yeah.
I can put it that way.
Exactly. No, and I think that that's the interesting difference in the two programs, right? Like one gets a lucky win, you equate it to, and now they fought, right? They fought. Like sometimes you need the ball to bounce in a lucky fashion, and I think that the equivalent of last year's game to me was like someone throwing up a prayer basketball shot and it hitting the backboard and going in. It's like you didn't call bank, bro. You did
Right,
not call
right,
bank,
for sure.
but
Like,
it still counts the same. So, credit them. Every even a blind squirrel finds a nut every now and again. Broken clock is right twice a
right.
day, and a coyote gets lucky every now and again. But with that being said, I never really got to experience it. So I never, we never played USD because they were just in the bottom of D2,
Right.
right? And which historically, I think at D2 they did better against the Jacks than they did at D1. But even in the later years in D2, I want to say they only had like one win in the last, I want to say 15 tries, maybe 20 tries or something like that
Right.
prior to the reboot. And then when you look at the 19 season, it's like in both instances, last year I think they played decent and they had some chances where I think like with some different coaching decisions, they may have been able to seal it at one point, but I think the D line, credit to you guys, stepped up on a big fourth down stop. Like can't remember if it was Bach or who it was, stuffed a run play late in the game
Yeah.
that really kind of turned the tide. You want to talk about that a little bit?
I think, I don't want to discredit their players like at all. I actually do
Yeah.
believe their quarterback and their running back are actually like pretty damn good players.
Yeah.
Uh, you
Carson
know,
Camp and Tice for those who don't know.
and it's just those games are kind of hard because like, USD does a good job of kind of like disguising what their weaknesses are. Like from at least from last year, like one of their glaring weaknesses was their like O line,
Yeah.
right? So they're not gonna run power at you. They're not gonna have these guys try and like displace you and move you 5 yards back because like a team against the Jackrabbits, even this year, I don't like with the defensive line they have, like that's not going to happen. Like you're not
Right.
moving Caleb Sanders far back. You're not moving Ryan Van Marl far back. You're not doing that to Jared DePriest. So like, they do a lot of like outside zone or like guard tackle pull stuff where it's going to look like counter where like they don't really have to have all that like in the middle move back, right? They just want to kind of position block you.
Yeah. They want to use the space of the field against you, and I
Right.
think that a lot of people will analyze the early game film of UC Davis or Butler and want to say, well, they weren't getting the pressures that they needed to get. Well, I think that's just because there were pretty good game plans that Butler and UC Davis put together from an offensive perspective. And even Western to some degree last week, where they were using the space of the field, much like the run and shoot offense kind of does. Just it wasn't the run and shoot, but the run and shoot uses space as opposed to have zone beaters, as opposed to just trying to run right at you, which I don't really think any team other than the Bison will maybe attempt to do against us. And so with that being said, yeah, you got to give them credit for knowing their personnel last year, doing just enough, literally, to get the win.
Right.
This year, fast forward, you have a team that really, I think I don't know what their strength of schedule is, but it's pretty stout to start the year. I mean, Kansas State has shown it's a real contender, having beaten Oklahoma at Oklahoma again for the second consecutive year. They beat the Sooners and they blanked the Coyotes early in the year, 38-0. And then they go into a showdown against Montana. Montana's a baller, university right now, specifically from a football perspective. And their defense is always known for being pretty stout. So they only, I think, gave up 7 points in that game to the Coyotes. They do get a win against Cal Poly. Cal Poly has definitely seen better days. Maybe they're wishing in San Luis Obispo that they still had the wing T offense, the triple option, because that was when they were able to eat a little bit. But they did get the W at home against Cal Poly. And then they played. They went into North Dakota State. And then they took one on the chin pretty good there as well. So, what do you think from being really recent opponent of them? What do you think they're going to try to do from an offensive perspective against the Jacks?
I really don't when it comes to playing them. I really don't believe that, to a certain extent, like looking at how they played other people and all that. Like, I don't believe that really kind of affects how they play against the Jacks because like this is such a big game. It's a big game for the Jacks this week too. So like these guys aren't going to come out like, oh, well, North Dakota State just kicked our ass. And well, South Dakota State's up there with North Dakota State. Like, it's like none of that. It's like,
you kind of throw it out the window, even though it's cliche, right? Because they do get that itch to beat the interstate rival, even regardless of what the record is. They could be the team that, went on a tear and won 12 straight, but they're still going to get up for this game. Right. And I think that's been this is the thing that I want you to settle for the fans, because I haven't thought this, but Stig kind of mentioned it. Do you guys get up for this game as much as they do?
I believe now, from talking to the guys, like now, yes. Even last year, like we were pretty hyped for it because like that was coming off a loss
right
a few years ago. And I mean, and there's a certain intensity that, our coaches tell us like to bring like to every single game, you know what I mean? So like, and it's not always about like putting someone on a pedestal, right? Like you don't want to put like, oh, well, this is North Dakota State week, I'm going to play better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because what the hell if you're doing that?
Right. Exactly.
Does that mean you're sandbagging every other game?
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So like, and I feel like that's kind of how they play. Like, it's like, oh, it's South Dakota State week. Like, I got to bring it this week, right? And you'll get a different intensity out of them that you have not seen on film. So, like, it's kind of hard to gauge. Like, all right, well, this guy, he's getting tackled, his first contact. Like, okay, but like against the Jacks is going to be, all right, he's fighting for this extra 2 yards. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so that's a really good point that you bring up. I think there are a couple teams in the Valley that do that. Another team that kind of makes me scratch my head is Southern Illinois. It's like they play to the level of their opponents sometimes, and like their worst enemy is themselves, which at times even the Jacks battled with. But I think like as a team matures and has better and better leadership, like you guys had such good leadership over the past few years, and I think we have some solid leadership this year. Obviously bit by the injury bug yet again, but we've really been able to weather that. And, when you look at what this team is composed of as far as the Jackrabbits. I think there's a different level of maturity than maybe other teams and maybe this team historically, because I think they're catching up from a talent standpoint. Like I see USD and they got good skill talent. Maybe they're a little bit behind in the trenches, maybe not. It's really tough to say because again, like you said, Thomas, is when you're looking at their film, they kind of play down and up. They're just too inconsistent for me to get a real beat on. But knowing that they're going to be up for this game, you better bring your lunch pail.
I mean, I feel like for their defense, I always say like they got some good players on their defense. Like, I think their linebackers are pretty damn good players. And
and then they had that Van Winkle kid who's playing for the Dolphins now, who transferred to Wisconsin. I mean, he's a baller. So I mean, they have some studs on defense. And then they had a guy that was about to get on I think he signed an undrafted free agency. I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
I think he's on the Colts. That D tackle. Like, I mean, they got some damn good players. Like, and their guys up front even now. Like, I mean, you don't see any like glaring like like your Reese Winkelmans or your Spencer Wagey, like guys like that are just like crazy. But like they all play hard and they're all pretty good football players. But I personally believe like our offensive line is definitely up for like the challenge there.
That's good because I think from that perspective, when you get into rivalry games, the one thing you need to be able to depend on is the trenches. And I think our D line is one of the best in the country. And I want to move away from like Stig even, went off script for himself saying that this might be one of the best offenses he's ever had from a skill perspective. And now look at what that's done. It's kind of like it frames this expectation from a fan base to where now when it doesn't match up with all the different, injuries or, game plans or a new coordinator, when it doesn't jive with that, all of a sudden everybody thinks the sky is falling. So from that, yeah, go ahead.
What I think is like the offense is just very different from what we're used to seeing, right? Like we're used to seeing like big plays, 80-yard shot, like Dallas Goedert, one-hand catch, like that kind of stuff, like moving down the field like crazy. Like this offense, I believe, is kind of more akin to like NDSU. Like, okay, we'll have a 10-minute drive and just drive down the field. Like, I mean, like the winning the time of possession, like all that kind of stuff. I believe, saying like great offense is just like, I believe it. We have like the idea of great offense at SDSU has meant one thing for a while. And now like, this is just like the other side of the coin, at least from what I've been watching.
No, that's exactly. I've kind of felt that way too. I'm like, let me see this now. And because I think a couple things are at play there to underscore your point. So we had Pierre Strong Jr., who was smooth and could really like hit a home run. And he would hit a home run when you don't know, right? Like the thing that sticks out in my mind is against Southern Illinois at home. He bumps into his lineman because there's no real crease there. And then he ends up housing it for like 75 yards. Right. And you're like, damn, how did he even do that? It makes one amazing jump cut. And then you have, when you have Thunder and Lightning back there, and now it's just Thunder. the creative player, as Tucker Kraft likes to say, Zay Davis. And now you got him, and he would come in and just bludgeon you and run you over. But then because they were so sick of tackling that, he would break big ones too. And then you had the Yankees and Tucker and Zach Hines. So we could just come at you so many different ways, like you're saying. And then I think the last point that is very different, Chris Oladokin was a damn good player, and he had a lot of experience. And he was more, I think, you say it because you were his teammate. I don't know, but something about him, like he was a big time passer, way bigger passer than I think the fan base understands right now. Because Mark is a very good passer too, but he's a different player. Mark is like a legitimate dual threat, which I didn't. Yeah.
I think like seeing Mark in practice was just like one of the biggest surprises I think any of us had. Like seeing your quarterback run somebody over and then like talk to him like after like you used to see what I just did. Like, bro, like that used to get us so hyped, man. And but I think Chris just brings like a different kind of. I mean, he's in the NFL for a reason, right?
Yeah, I mean, he got drafted for a reason to one of the biggest franchises ever.
Right. So he like Chris. I remember we had one play up and like at the end of our defensive film, and it was just watching Chris just make this pass, and like it was like cross the body, like 30 yards down, and Coach Smith's like, yeah, like this is why we stay off the quarterback in practice.
Yeah, I mean That's so true. Because even in that game 1 against Colorado State, I was talking to Coach Stig after. I can't remember what week it was, but he was saying how Coach Lee, who's coaching at Vanderbilt, he's like, "Man, where'd you get that quarterback? Like, how did you find him?" And it was on a play where he got kind of flushed out of the pocket, rolling to his right, and threw it to, I want to say, Jaden on a long 3rd down conversion, and literally just laid it right in the basket. And that type of stuff is just, Mark is going to get there, but I think the difference there is Mark is also going to bust a 30-yarder where he trucks you. And that is more of what we're familiar seeing from an NDSU or from the 2020 Jacks team that really just controlled the ball, wasn't making these like huge plays, but the plays they were making were mainly on the ground. Or like, Mark actually, ironically, we were talking in our thread that his deep ball was really good in the 2020 season, and he was trying to iron out some of the quicker pass game. Now it's like, because there's new pieces, the offense has a different complexion. He's still trying to get in rhythm based on different defenses he's seeing. So there's going to be, we need to give a longer leash, I guess, is what we're trying to say.
Because I'm saying, like, you see Mark Gronowski play, and like the way he led that team to the national championship is just like, you expect like this guy's going to be perfect all the time. Like, Mark is still a very young quarterback who's thrust into that position like at a crazy time, right? So like, I will always give all the credit to Mark like that. He is a damn good football player.
Yeah.
I mean, just even putting defenses in rough spots where, like, like if we run RPO, like you also have to freaking consider for the quarterback.
Yeah.
Like that, right. So, I mean, there's some things that Mark isn't able to do quite yet that Chris was really good at, but Chris also had a whole lot of time to play a lot of good football.
Exactly. Yeah. We should highlight Chris, South Florida commit, who actually started there with, I think, Charlie Strong as his coach, and did some good things there. So FBS was no surprise to him. It didn't catch him off guard. Transferred to Sanford, put up big numbers. Sanford down in the South, the Terriers. Then he, is on the fence. Maybe I'm going to Florida A&M. Maybe I'm not. And then he shows out for SDSU, becomes one of the best quarterbacks that's ever probably played for SDSU, and won a lot of games. But one thing we need to highlight, to your point, I know you have no bias because Mark's a Illinois kid. Mark is like 12-2 as a starter, like a true starter. 12-3 as a starter, something crazy like that. No, I think it's 2 because he lost Iowa this year, and he only lost UND. Yeah, I mean, the national title game, he had one series. You can't really count that. So, I mean, he has 2 losses, and he's won 4 this year and 8 in the spring. That's 12 wins, man. 12-2 is a great clip, which shows you something about leadership and something about all the guys around him too. So, how do you think? Did Isaiah Davis play in the USD game last year? He didn't, did he?
No, he didn't. And I believe that was like they usually, like, USD, the last 2 times we played them, like, Pierre wasn't playing one, and then Isaiah wasn't playing the other, right? So Isaiah hasn't played against them yet. They haven't had to deal with that yet. So, like, I'm very, very, very interested to see, like, what their answer for tackling him would be.
Exactly. And they're going to have to rally, and that's going to be that's only going to open up some things down the road as far as play calling and stuff like that goes. And so if in terms of atmosphere, you got a chance to play how many games at home against this team, and then how many games on the road?
2 on the road, and then 3 on the road, and then 1 at home.
Okay. And your record then against them was
2-2.
2-2. Yeah, no, I hear you. So 19 and 21 on the road. Yeah. And then was it
17 was there?
17 was there.
And 18 was the Ice Bowl.
The Ice Bowl. That was the one Pierre ran all over him, right?
Yeah.
That was great. I remember those. Seeing him like score every damn play, I think.
Bro, I was just in awe.
So what was that like? I mean, obviously their fans didn't really show up for the Ice Bowl too much because I think they were struggling. But you were on a team. Wasn't Strevler on one of those teams?
Yeah.
The 17 one, the first one?
Yeah.
And what was that like, man? Because he was a hell of a player. Like, talking about guys who can play. Like, he could ball.
I mean, that dude was like, we even actually saw him at Pro Day when he did his, because he came down to SDSU to do it. I mean, the dude's like huge. He's a big ass dude. And I mean, he's as NFL like commentators say, like he's sneaky athletic, like he's super fast. Like that, like bro, he
Yeah.
got some wheels for real. Like, but I
That's
mean,
what they say to us white guys when they
right,
wanna give us a compliment.
right. So yeah, he real sneaky athletic though.
That's awesome.
No, but
Yeah,
he
no,
was
he could run
so
you over too. Like, I think that's a decent comp for Mark, as he progresses, we'll see. But so you were an underclassman. Did you get a lot of run against him? Like, what was it like tackling him? Was the complexion of their offense like? Because they still had the same OC, right?
I say yeah, it was pretty similar. Like I would say like during my years, like their offensive line, like the way they play or the kind of players they have will like never really change. Kind of just big ass dudes who kind
Yeah.
of position block you want to
Lanky, they'll just kind of stay in front of you.
yeah,
That's not a disrespectful
yeah.
criticism of them. I'm trying to say, like, the way they play doesn't lend itself to our advantage, kind of.
Right, yeah, because
So
it's like kind of taking you out of it in a way.
yeah, exactly. I
Like
used to hate that too because I wasn't
yes.
Von Miller over here on the D line where they'd take a 7-yard shotgun snap and try to get the ball out quick. A lot of times they kind of run. Did they run those draws and counters out of the gun like that?
Yeah, and like even on some of their pass plays, like it wasn't like because like you said, like their tackles are long, lanky dudes. Like they're not really heavy guys. Like you go to bull rush them, like they're trapping you right away. Like it's not
Right.
like I mean, they're some of them are savvy guys. Like they're not like they're realistic with what they can do. So they're not going
Yeah.
to sit here and let you bull rush them. Or the bigger guys are going to invite you to bull rush them, give you their chest, right? So like you
Hmm.
can just lean on them, and now he's like 320. So like now he's not going anywhere. Centers come in like so. I mean, I would say like not to disrespect anyone, they are good at what they do, but I believe that like guys like Caleb Sanders, like
Hmm.
there's certain things that he can like you just can't do nothing about that.
Yeah. And
Like
you know what I have seen them do a lot more recently is they'll move him around. So it'll be advantage Caleb, right? Like, oh, you got a little suspect, guard play. Looks like we're going to keep him in a 3 tech. Oh, your center's the weak link. Good luck, and like then you got to deal with Van Marl and some of these other cats who have really just stepped up. I'm not sure about Brian Williams yet. I didn't see the depth chart. It came out today. Not sure if he's going, but he seemed like in against Iowa at least like to be a good anchor there in the middle.
and Brian, one thing I can appreciate about him is like he lives at my old house where me
Ah,
and X used to stay. So I had a few conversations with him. Like Brian is like a surprisingly good pass rusher. Like I know he looks like a little shot put, right? Like he looked like a little like he'll just hunker down in there. Like the dude's got some moves now. So
nice.
like when he comes back, I'm excited to see him rush him and Jared. Like, can we just take a minute to talk about how the defensive line is looking this
Yeah.
year?
I mean, we got I every chance I get, I wasn't on last week, but every chance I get, I shout out Christian Smith, Coach Smith, getting you guys ready,
Man,
man. Like
like
really up the level. I don't know that we've had a D line this good.
I
Maybe
don't.
ever. Maybe ever, man. Even I mean, when you were there, it just kept going up. And so that's talk to that. Explain a little bit about why you think that is.
Man, I believe Coach Smith does a really good job of like coaching people at what they're good at, and like
Mm,
that's one thing that even with me coaching, like I want to take that from him, right? Like not coaching guys like this is the only way we do things. Like, hey, like you're good at this, let's work this move. Or like, hey, I believe you're better at long arms because you got long arms. Like, let's do that. Like, you got a quick get off. Okay, like let's work speed chops. Like,
yeah.
he just does a really good job, like personalizing like the best way for you to succeed, right?
Yeah,
Like,
that's open-mindedness and playing to the strengths because instead of asking like a short guy to be tall, well, what can this guy do? And
right.
I really respect that. That's good. That shows a sign of a mature coach and a guy who knows how to get the most out of players too. I like him. I've liked him ever since I met him. I think that one of the things I want to see this week is can we manufacture a pass rush again like we have, knowing that they want to get the ball out quick and kind of nullify our defensive line advantage. Can we still manufacture a pass rush, put Carson Camp in poor positions to make bad decisions with the football to spell kind of our secondary? Not that our secondary hasn't stepped up and played
Right.
beyond some of the expectations, even with injuries, but it's easier when you get a good pass rush. What are your thoughts on that? What do you think about the secondary?
I mean, I think our secondary guys been stepping up all year, right? And I think that's awesome. Like guys who have had virtually no playing time, like coming in, making plays. Like Herder doing a great job this year, I
Yeah.
thought. Juice, Matthew Durant, I think he's doing great stepping in there. Tucker Large even playing some linebacker when he had to. I thought that was dope to see. You know what I mean? Like Steven stepping up. Like I love like all our guys in the back end, even our guys who are already playing. Elevating their level of play. Daishan and Malik. Like it's really cool to see. And I just think manufacturing a pass rush like with these guys is gonna. I think it starts like getting them behind the sticks, right? Like playing the
Exactly.
backfield all day, which I know like our front seven, like they can handle that for sure. Like it's just a matter of like tackling, right? Like I believe our last game, I think we didn't do as great just because our tackling wasn't very good. But finishing those plays when you get there and like getting them behind the sticks where they have to pass, right? Like I believe that's going to be all about. He has to pat the ball once or twice because he has to look further downfield to make those reads.
No, that's good analysis. I think, like you're saying, yeah, we had some, first guy at point of contact wasn't wrapping up or wasn't able to get the guy down against Western. They also used the field to their advantage. One of the things that will also help a pass rush, if we're not able to get it, that will also aid the secondary is crowd support and fan noise. So just a highlight here, and Chad, I don't know if you can help in kind of verify this. I believe there's only like 200 some tickets left, like somewhere between 200 to 300 tickets, which is awesome. That means it's almost a pure sellout, which is great. And I know there's a lot of people in blue who are a little sick of what happened the past couple years. They're a little sick of that highlight that continues to be circulated. So they're going to show up and be loud. Do you think they'll be able to draw some false starts and offsides penalties?
Were you talking to me?
Yeah.
I thought so.
What do you think, Chad?
Well, we challenged them to 4. Sorry to hop on. I was just watching
Yeah.
in the background, but
Yeah.
last I heard, there's about 300 tickets left. I think that this will be a full sellout. So
Let's go.
Yeah.
I believe our crowd for sure can draw some offsides and rattle guys. Like I mean, in our games where we have like the full house there, like NDSU, most times like you could tell like it rattles dudes. Like they're not used to that.
Oh yeah.
Being on
the games I've been there for college game day, NDSU jumped several times from the offensive line perspective. And then when last year at the marker game, they jumped a bunch. And then the SIU game, when it was packed, they had some yips. So it's super. I think our fans like are really starting to realize, because they've definitely shown out this year, like they can make an impact in the game. And I'm loving these traditions that the student section's doing, that they're incorporating. Kickoff, they take off their shoes. You got the corn-fed folks there bringing the corn husks and all that stuff. I love that.
No, that's dope to see. And even like as I've been there, like and until now, to see like how it's grown and like how like the community's really like taking these football games seriously. Like it's awesome to see. Like, and it makes you play that much harder as a player, because you're like, dude, all these people came here to watch us win, watch me show out. Like I gotta give them something to celebrate, right?
Exactly. And it's really cool to see when you take into context the actual numbers, right? Like you lived in Brookings for plenty, and now you're up in Moorhead. So you see the difference in numbers from, Brookings, which is like 15K, maybe 20 plus K all in when school is in session, to all have that many people show up and show out in a town like Brookings is awesome. It really makes you grateful for the experience and for them to commit that amount of time. And now being up there in Moorhead, I feel bad for you, man. They got to deal with all the homeless cow folks up there.
Man, dude, I'm so tired of them. Like, I work with a old Bison guy, Carlton Littlejohn, and
I think I played against him.
Yeah,
the LB, right?
Yeah, linebacker.
LB,
yeah.
Yep.
So we do a lot of talking back and forth. We got a bet going for the game already. I got my shirt ready for him for when he loses.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, I can't wait. So I mean, and you can kind of tell like how certain people talk about this game, right? Like you never want to be like on. They kind of throw it out as like, oh well, who cares? Like that's one game. Like what about the playoffs? Like hey, like we're coming for the playoffs. So I'm like, I'm worried about like whose name is on my desk right now, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you're coming to the Dyke House or we're going up there, like, we're coming to kick someone's ass. So
Yep.
I'm excited
No,
for that.
and that's that just highlights what the Valley is as a meat grinder, right? Because we got USD got to get up for. We go right into NDSU up in Fargo. Then we have, I want to say, Indiana State, but it doesn't get any easier down the stretch with at UNI, and then I think to close the season, or I'm sorry, at UND. Then I want to say at UNI, then Illinois State at home to round it out. So it really is a meat grinder. And speaking of guys we played with or against, there's a unique situation here. A guy you played with now is going to be on the other side. Talk a little bit about that with Josh Manchagaya and just what that's like to watch one of your former brothers, balling on a different side and how that all came to be. Any insight you got on that?
Like, I'm not trying to put like his business out there, nothing like that. But
No, I didn't mean personally. I just mean
yeah.
he obviously wanted to keep playing ball, which I respect.
Right.
I mean, play as much as you possibly can.
Exactly.
Definitely don't judge the decision. Just curious as to what that would be like from your perspective, playing against someone you played with.
It's definitely kind of like weird. Like, not that it's not as weird for me because like I don't have to like line up and like see Josh on the other side and be like, whoa, like what's going on? Like, it'd be more weird for like, let's say like a dude like Mason who was at his wedding this summer, and then has to show up and play against them. So I mean, we were all supportive of him. Like, it was never like, oh, Josh, I hate your guts because you're going to USD. But it's like,
that's petty.
My mindset was always like, yeah, you're going to USD. But I'm like, when my guys get a hold of you, like, I don't know how they're going to
not taking it easy.
Yeah, I don't think Mason McCormick going to take it easy on you to catch you out there. So.
Exactly, man.
Well, I mean, it's still cool though. Like, it's a cool experience. Like, I'm gonna ask him after the game, like, how it was, like, going into the Dyke House, seeing it from like the other perspective, right?
Yeah.
Like, for him, that's got to be nuts. Like,
that's what I'm saying. That's kind of what I was trying to get at, is like how weird that must be. And this is just unique, right? It's the landscape of college football now with the transfer rules, the odd COVID +1 year, and then you got guys all over the country, FBS level dudes who won a national title at Bama transferring to Georgia transferring to Bama. It's like dudes going to Florida when it's a strange world we live in. So I think less than it's more so about just understanding that these still are dudes, kids with a dream, trying to play, trying to do what's best for them in their lives. And like, whatever that is, support them, but understand their people behind the face mask too, I think.
Well, I mean, if our fans want to give him some crap, like
I hope they do.
I would not be against it.
Yeah. But then when it ends, remember that he was in blue and yellow for a long time, man. He was a interception machine in the spring game.
Yeah, Josh definitely put in his time. He put his time for sure.
So I'm saying it'll be interesting because he'll be able to speak to both sides of the rivalry too. I wonder what it was like against NDSU playing at USD. They were up 17-0 at half too. So
yeah,
they're no slouch.
So I'm sure Josh was kind of, because he's probably definitely the oldest guy, like in their back seven. So I'm sure he brings like a lot of leadership to that group. You know what I mean? And
he's about what, 30, 32? He's
I'll say what?
No, well, he's married now. Shoot.
Yeah, he's definitely grandpa in that room.
Yeah, grandkids. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, he probably brings a lot of good experiences to him. Like, probably gets to tell him what it's like to actually win a playoff game.
Right.
So I'm sure a lot of none of them know that actually. So
understood. One sec.
Yeah.
Little dog barking action there. We'll clip that out if we have to, but this is live. Yeah, man. I think one of the other things I want to get into is like, what was it like playing at USD in Vermilion? Because I had an opportunity to do my pro day there back in the day, but I don't even think it was the same. I don't even think it's the same since. Did you play after the renovations last year?
I believe, we did.
So it didn't really probably didn't feel any different to you. Was the turf different?
Oh no, it's still that weird spongy AstroTurf
where you can't get cleats into it.
Yeah, like you could run out there in some Jordans if you wanted to. We came down
That
to it.
I hate that, man. That's such a I feel like they're cutting corners financially when they put that type of turf in, but whatever. So with that being said, clearly you're just saying the Dana is better to play on.
Oh, are you kidding? Like, bro,
Yeah.
you could fit like what, one section of the Dana J in there, like, and then
Yeah.
you look on one side and it's like it looks like WrestleMania should be in there,
I
not
know,
like a
it's weird.
football game. No, I think their fans bring a lot of intensity and stuff, but like it's because they're right on top of you.
Yeah.
Like you're seeing all these weird guys, chirping you, and it's like, all right, bro, like whatever. I'm not trying to hear that. You know what I mean?
Is it more comparable to the Unidome than the NDSU Fargo Dome?
Now, I don't want to disrespect either of those, right? But it's more like you and I. But like, I'm not trying to like my guys at you and I. Like, no disrespect, bro. Like, your dome's not that bad. Like,
No, it really isn't. Like the bleachers are still pretty good at UNI, and they
yeah,
actually it's really unique because it overhangs, right? But like, what is it like just being on the sidelines? Are you tucked underneath like that
yeah.
too?
You're underneath a little bit. Like when you go to sit on the bench, like
Yeah,
their fans are like still kind of right here. Like I'd say half the sideline is like underneath their fans. So
interesting.
it's a weird setup, but I mean it's cool for an atmosphere. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
they're right on top of you, so you get a lot of chirping.
and
That's
this is
always
just
fun.
yeah, definitely. And this is just my opinion here, but like I don't know why I would never go to a game there and be like, yeah, I got to play in this environment. I would
Yeah.
never. It just doesn't feel like that. Like when I went there, it definitely felt like for pro day, it was like, all right, this is a track facility and a basketball facility, and that's not me trying to trash on them. I'm sure the renovations have
Yeah.
done some good, but it's nothing like being able to buy booze at the Dana now.
Right. No, for
Let's
sure. Like
go.
I think that was a huge decision. Like you keep a lot of students that way. Students are showing up and having a good time. Like whoever put the green light on that
There we go. Yep.
got my seal of approval.
I think Justin Sell did a lot with that, trying to get that through. Because also that's going to bring sponsorships. I think it's going to be, it's going to allow. Literally, studies have shown more responsible alcohol consumption among the student body when they're able to regulate it at games. And need to get the UPD situation ironed out a little bit. But nobody's ever a fan of them.
I say, yeah, I got my beef with UPD.
Listen, I mean, I felt like they were trying to give me a parking ticket every time I started my car. So, but anyways, shout out to them. I know they have a job to do, whatever, but clean it up. Don't prey on these students. And like, I think that's the cool part too, with, touching on that point, the students have shown up big at these games on film, on TV. I mean, the Iowa game was mostly blue and yellow mixed with black. It was crazy.
Yeah.
To see. It was really exciting to be able to see the fanfare show out for that and all through the home games this year. This is kind of another, silly question, but obviously you want to look good and the swag is important. You think we're going to be rocking these all whites at home?
All whites at home, taking a page out of the Bengals book.
Listen,
I don't know. I cannot say for myself. I believe
so maybe these, the other ones.
Yeah, I think they'll probably go blue and yellow. I'd be willing to bet.
You think they'll go yellow pants? That would be cool. Or you think all blues?
Probably yellow pants. Just because, like, I know we always got to get that one out of the way. That's like a classic staple SDSU. So, I mean, I think they might go with it.
That's cool. And what was your favorite uniform combo to wear when you were a Jack?
It would really depend because like some years, like when my stomach was bigger, I would hate the white ones because like, it made me look super fat, and I'm like, bro.
I feel that, dude.
And but I think blue on blue was definitely the hardest one we had.
Yeah. I had mixed feelings on all blue because that was kind of like how I felt. Like if I was a little softer one year than I was the next, all blue kind of made me feel like a Smurf. But outside of that, we also had an issue with making our blues line up. Our blues, especially when you sweat in them, it almost looked like you were wearing black pants or dark navy with a lighter chrome blue helmet. But we got that ironed out, so now they look really good. The blues. It's weird seeing white letters though. I don't think we ever had white letters with yellow outlines. So this is a new little trend that we got going.
Those new blue ones are dope, bro. I was so jealous. I texted Mason like, bro, I'm so mad. Y'all
Oh,
got
I
white
know.
helmets and like
That
white
picture
numbers.
with Isaiah leaping, like doing the jump man leap over that WIU defender with the all blue and the blue. Ooh, they look
Bro, that was
hard,
hard.
man.
You know, I was
They look,
hard.
yeah, that's awesome. Maybe we'll get enough donorship money to have a third helmet. Who knows? Who knows?
Bro, the possibilities are endless with the Jacks uniforms. I'll be seeing people posting about it on Twitter. So
I know it's
it's a
because
pretty dope
I love
concept.
my favorite are all the shade that they're getting for doing the blackouts that are not really it's like it's
those are
like
those are
yeah.
funny, but the pants are so small, bro. That's what people don't realize. Like for like at least the bigger guys, like the pants are tiny. So like it's kind of rough to get them on. Like for old linemen, like with your
Oh, so
knee.
you're saying there are black pants?
Yeah. Oh well, the old ones from like the year, like I think it was 2018.
Yeah. So we still technically have black pants. They just don't wear them.
Yeah, I don't think we can because like they're just way too small.
They shrank a lot, huh?
Yeah.
Man, you're supposed to wash colors on cold, man. I've failed that many times, shrinking stuff. Maybe I just ate too much that week. Who knows?
You never know, man.
Well, listen, I don't discriminate against food. I'll eat all of it.
No, I feel you.
So speaking of that, like, how is it these days, coaching D linemen?
It's definitely weird because, like I told you earlier, like having to chew out a guy for like stuff that like I would literally do, and
Mhm.
like seeing it from like the other perspective, like oh, like this is why Coach Smith would get butthurt about this because it puts our whole defense in a bad spot. Like
Yep.
it's weird to see that, but I mean it's also cool to know that like there's always more you can know. Like you're never knowing, everything about the position you played, even if you've been playing it for a super long time. And I feel like I've learned, more about D line, even being here. So I think it's definitely cool. It's a little bit different now, being out here and just the kind of players you see. Like it's a different area. Like the guys are less from all over the place. So a lot of the guys are from like immediate North Dakota or
Yeah.
Minnesota. So it's cool getting to know guys from a different area. So
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And I'm sure there's little things you're learning where you can build on your craft. That's interesting to hear because there's a lot of great ball up there in the Midwest, even though it's like kind of under the radar a little bit more.
yeah,
Less and less with the internet and streams and on all that, to where people can really watch and kind of follow closely. But no, it's cool to see that you're taking it seriously and you're enjoying it. And yeah, man, you see it from a different perspective, so it adds so much to your worldview there. When you're talking about coaching in general, do you have aspirations to be a coordinator, a head coach one day, or you just kind of taking things day by day, year by year?
I'm kind of taking things day by day, and I just knew, when I was done playing, like I still have a passion for the sport, and I feel like, I have a lot of knowledge to give, people, and I felt like, if I don't at least try right now to, do that and give my all to the sport, I don't want to leave and have like any stones unturned. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
I would much rather, I'm liking what I'm doing now, like just kind of living in it right now. You know what I mean? So that's it's pretty nice.
Yeah. What's that like in terms of a schedule? Was it like as a coach, especially, college in general, but D2 right now? What's that like?
Our schedule, so like it's a little bit different just because like, at the Division I level, like you get like priority registration. So like all your classes are like
Yep.
right, like so you have all your players at the same time. Our schedule is very like spread out. So like we have like a morning 6 a.m. practice and then like, meetings after that and kind of go throughout the day, breaking down film, seeing what we like or what we don't like. And then we have an afternoon practice at around 3 on most days. And then break down that film afterwards. Like it's like a really long spread out day, but you can get a lot of things done.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I kind of like the idea of practice in the morning. That way it's, you get it done. You can assess it more. Give your body a chance to recover. What's that like then though, playing games? You play games in the afternoon or night?
Oh yeah, mostly in the afternoon. We have one night game to start against Sioux
Okay.
Falls, but other than that, it's usually afternoon games.
Yeah, gotcha. And how you guys doing this year? What's your record? What's your
Right. It's been tough sledding. We got a young team this year. We got
Mhm.
one win on the season so far, But I mean, our guys are playing their ass off, and they're getting better every week. So I'm excited to see how they play this week.
That's a good measuring stick, man. Especially when you're young, you just got to win the day and take baby steps. No pun intended. But I think, I appreciate your time, man. And I love hearing the direction of your career. For the fans or people listening, I think we're going to try to do this pretty regularly. So we'll catch up with Stack whenever he has some time to like sprinkle in weekly. We'll call it. We're open to names for the segment.
We need name suggestions, please.
we could do like I think I said in a thread, like Stack on Sacks or something like that. A little alliteration.
That's kind of fire though.
There you go. That's what they pay me for, not.
That's why you get the big bucks, man.
Yeah. Hey, we have some sponsors though. So, and to that point, shout out again to our sponsors. But we will get into one last thing here. We'll do some predictions. So the Jacks are giving up roughly 16 and a half a game, I think. And they're giving up 16 a game, and they're scoring, I think, 27 and a half a game. So what do you think is going to be the overall score?
Overall score. I'm expecting these guys have not seen Isaiah Davis yet. So I'm expecting a huge game out of him. Like, jump on him early, like my guys love to do.
Nice.
I'm going to say 35-10.
Oof, I like that one. Oh, that would be beautiful. And I want to see that. Of course, I'd love to see a shutout, but, we want to give them credit too because they're on scholarship as well.
Yeah, they got good players.
I'm going to say I'm a little more tight towards the analytics on this one. I'm going to say 28-17. I think they might sneak out on a couple here, but I think hopefully the game will be controlled for most of it late. And yeah, they'll get theirs, but yeah, so it's going to be exciting either way.
Ready to watch the boys. Take them to the woodshed, man.
That's right. And we should say, we're a little bit more mature than some fan bases are. So, if we beat them, let's act like we expected to put a good product out there. You know what I mean? We don't have to gloat for years, even though I know it's an in-state rivalry and stuff like that. But it's on to the next after this one. You guys enjoy it if you're going there. I know, find the book club, Chad and the guys, find the Jackrabbit Illustrated team, the rest of them, the B Team Mafia. They're doing some exciting stuff. And I know, just a heads up, they're doing that caravan going up to Fargo next week as well. So get your tickets and stuff. I believe it's through Dakota Dinos for that. They're going to do a thing where they meet all at Buffalo Wild Wings up there, and they're doing a B Team pod on the bus, I believe. So that's going to be sick. Thomas, when I was there was nothing like this surrounding the program. And this is all from the work you guys did, man. You guys,
that's awesome.
Your senior class was something special. So I appreciate the time that you're giving us for the pod to kind of help grow the brand. And good luck to you guys. You got a game this weekend, right?
Yep.
Who you playing?
Oh, we got Minot State.
Minot, North Dakota.
Yeah.
Nice. We'll get after them. Good luck to you. Hope your boys play hard.
Wait, I got one more thing. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Let it rip.
People in Brookings, Tolu's birthday this weekend. If you see him, tell him happy birthday, please.
Tolu, turn up. I love the banter on Twitter. Keep it going, Tolu. I love it. All right. And with that, go big, go blue.
Go Jacks.
Go Jacks.